Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, dear brothers and sisters, to the second topic in information gathering. The first topic last week we discussed the interactive methods on gathering the information, and today we will focus on the unobtrusive methods. Unobtrusive methods is the methods where we focus we don't have much interactive and disruption to the business or to the people on the organizations. Unobtrusive methods is less disruptive to the organization's process and operation. It is require tax analytics to analyze the qualitative data. We have more to the data based on document that we need to have content analysis and so on. And it is insufficient when used alone. We cannot just rely on the qualitative data analysis or data come or gathering information from only the unobtrusive methods only. So multiple methods approach, we can use multiple approach here and used in conjunction with the interactive methods. So we need to use it beside the interactive methods. So the major topic is sampling, quantitative documents analysis, qualitative document analysis, tax analytics or content analysis, observation, Strobe approach, and applying Strobe. So we will discuss those topics today. So the first topic is sampling. Sampling is a process of systematically selecting representative elements from the whole population. I believe all of the student is come through the sampling techniques and so on, sampling size and so on in either auditing topics or accounting topic when we come to discuss the sampling, audit sampling and so on. So sampling is involve two key decisions: what to examine and which people to consider. The need of sampling, or why we need sampling: first, to reduce the cost or to save the cost, to speed up the gathering time, and also to improve the effectiveness, because if you consider the whole population, errors will increase and so on. And the last one, data gathering bias can be reduced by the sampling. Also, in terms of costly, examining every script of paper, talking with everyone, read every web page from the organizations. That is very costly to the organization. Um, I will not go through every details and steps in sampling because, as I said, it is something common to the accounting students. So sampling is help to accelerate and speed up the gathering process. The system analyst is spread the burden of analyzing data from the entire population. The sampling effectiveness also is it's one of the advantage or the reasons behind using the sampling method. Sampling can help improving the effectiveness if the information that is more accurate can be obtained, and this is accomplished by talking to fewer peoples but asking them a question that are more detailed. Also, sampling will increase the effectiveness if the fewer people are interviewed compared to the whole population. The system analyst has more time to follow up on missing or incomplete data. Then the bias, sampling bias, as we said, reason number 4, data gathering bias can be reduced by sampling. When the system analyst asks for an opinion about the permanent features of the installed information system, the executive interviewed may provide a biased evaluation because there is a little possibility of changing it. There are 4 steps to have good sampling design. First, determining the data to be collected or described. Second, determining the population to be sampled. Third, choosing the type of sampling method. And fourth is determining the sample size. Four types of samplings: convenience, purposive sampling, and simple random sampling, and complex random sampling. So let's look to the first one, convenience sampling. Convenience sampling are unrestricted and appropriability samples. This sampling method is the easiest to arrange and the most unreliable. We will explain that in details because you just based on your convenience. Let's say the first people you meet, or the just to, if let's say you are in third floor, your office, that in third floor, you just get the closest or the nearest stuff that around you to collect the information from them. So this is convenience sampling, or the easiest document that you can get. It is easy, but it is not reliable. It's, it's the most unreliable method. Then the second one is the purposive sampling method. It is based on judgment, choosing a group of individuals who appear knowledgeable and are interested in the new information system. It is an probability sampling method. It's only moderately on the reliable. Complex random sampling, we have a few methods under complex random sampling, like systematic sampling, stratified sampling, and cluster sampling. And each method is there is a reason, or due to the nature of the population and so on. So the simple random sampling here, it's look like the convenience method, because you just select uh, without any attributes or criteria. So you just select the samples that you are going to interview, or going to conduct the analysis or gather the information from, without any criteria. Okay, whereby the systematic sampling, you have criteria. So let's say you start from the second attribute, and then you jump from each. So each two you count. One, two, three. The third one you select. Then one, two, three you select. Then one, two, three you select. So that's what the way. That's why we call it systematic sampling. Whereby stratify sampling, we since we have uh, different type of people, let's say different departments or different level of management or different branch, so we first group the population into each kind, and then based on that we select. So in the green, from the green we select number of participant, or representative, and in the blue we select three. And the reason we select more here, due to the numbers, we need to have more representative from the blue groups compared to the green, due to the numbers. And this is where when we select this method, when we want to ensure the each group has balanced representativeness from each group. For clustering sample, when we have first we group them into different group, and we select based on group, not based on individuals. So let's say we have departments, based on departments, so female and male, so we select departments that we want to target, which is more relevant to our system information development. Okay, so this figure is explaining the mean, or comparing the four methods: the convenience, and the simple random, based on the probability, and also based on this one is if it is based on probability or not based on the probability, and also based on the sample element are selected directly without restriction. So without restriction or criteria is the method of convenience and simple random, whereby for the sample element are selected according to the specific criteria. Then we have the purposive or the complex random, systematic, stratified, and clustering. There are many methods to determine the sample size and supporting the sample size decision. And let's have a look into the concept. And for the technical and formula here, we will not go through in details because it's not our main purpose here. So first, we need to determine the attribute. We should also locate the database or the reports in which the attribute can be found, examine the attribute, making the subjective decision regarding the acceptable interval estimation, and then choose the confidence level, calculate or compute the standard errors, and then finally determine the sample size. So this figure is just explaining the first decision of the confidence level. We have normally the confidence level normally is either to be 99 to have a good sampling or representative sampling up to 90%. But below that, it consider that the sample is not that good. So this is the method or to how to calculate the standard errors of the proportion. I believe those information is more in the statistic subject. You can get it, and you can, if you want to have general information on this, you can view some videos on statistic and so on. So I will not go through those kind of technical matters determining the samples formula. So this example is explaining the 6 items or the concept of sampling by first determining the orders with mistakes as an attributes. So orders with mistakes as attribute, then allocate the order forms for the past 6 months, then examine these orders from the and conclude that the b value, which is the standard errors, and also the based on the confidential acceptable level, and we check the subjectivity of the decision of accepting interval minus and plus and minus 0.02. And lastly, we look up to the confidence coefficient, which is z value 1.6, which is a statistical acceptable figure, and then we calculate the interval and determining the sample size. So this is in simple way, and as I said, it is a general information. We are not going to test you here in this, but it is good to understand it. And nowadays we have software and we have website. You can just key in some data or variables, then you can get the information about the sample size accordingly. It is very important to mention here that the sampling topic is not exclusive for the unobstructive methods. It's also for the interactive methods as well. So before we go on into the second topic in investigation, which is the act of discovery and analysis and investigation of the data, and the data either to be quantitative or qualitative, or how to say hard data or soft data. So normally we call the quantitative data as hard data, which is represented by numbers, and qualitative data, which is based on the intelligence and intelligence of human, the experience of human, and also the goodwill as well. Any information that is not easy to represent it and graph it in numbering and graphs. First, let's have a look into the analyzing quantitative documents. The quantitative document that can be representative and reflected by graphs, numbers, and figures. The quantitative documents, those documents that have specific purpose and audience for which they are targeted. So, for example, reported used for decision making, performance report, records, data captures, forms, and e-commerce and the transaction. So for the report used for decision making, we have sales report, production report, and summary report. For the sales report, it's summarizing the amount sold and the type of sales. They may include the graphical output comparing revenue and income over a set of numbers of months or period and so on. And also for the production report, it includes recent cost, current inventory, recent labor, and the plant information, especially for the manufacturing organizations. You or company, you will see this kind of report there. And then summary report, it provides background information, spot exceptions to normal occurrence, and also effort strategic overview of the organization's plan. So this is an example of performance report showing the improvement in the production. So you can see here that it shows first the report of the week, which is the date, and also it's showing that here the number of batches produced. So this is the number of the produced product, and then the number of rejected batches based on the quality assurance. So and then you can see the improvement performance that in the end of the period after the we can see here it's reduce the number of rejection items or um, uh, how to say harmful or not good product in terms of quality. So this is the percentage here, and also here the column is representing the amount away from 5% goal. So this kind of reports is telling something. So the system analyst can understand or can also get many things from reading and analyzing this kind of performance report. So for the records provide periodical updates of what occurs in the business. There are several ways to inspect the record. First, checking the errors in the amount of total, looking to the opportunities for improving the recording from form and design, also observing the number and the type of transaction. Lastly, watching for instance in which the computer can simplify the work in terms of calculation and other data manipulation. So that's the things that we should consider in reviewing and investigating that. This figure is illustrating the manually completed payment records, and you can see there are so many information here and it is redundant. You can see some information is quite similar here, related to the total rental and so on, and this is where the opportunity for the system analysis or system analyst to look for where the computer can simplify the work in the recording. Then we look into the data capture forms. So there are forms or some document that internally used through the organizations, either to, let's say, getting some, transferring some documents, transferring some inventory to different departments or uh, different production line and so on. So also the system analyst should gather some information about that, and this kind of information is considered under the quantitative information. So a blank forms can be compared with filled in form. So we compare the blank one, empty one, with the filled in form, and we see if any data items are consistently left blank. So why people is lifting some information consistently among the sample that we select. And also we see if the people who are supposed to receive the forms actually do it. um, if not, who receive it normally. And then we see also if the standard procedures for using these forms, storing these forms, and discarding those forms are followed. So collect examples. We need to collect, so as a system analyst, we collect examples of all forms used in the company. Note the type of the forms. We should note or categorize the group of the forms, and then document the intended distribution pattern, and then compare the intended distribution patterns with who actually received those kind of forms. So this example is showing some questions to ask about the official and potlatch forms that are already filled out. So some questions maybe: is the form filled out in the entirely? So is there any missing blank consistently? The second questions: are there forms that are never used? Why they are not using that forms? Maybe there is no much function or operation in that field, so no need. Maybe we just need to have it in the system. We shouldn't focus on that function or operation in the new system. We should not give much attention to that. So then, are all copies of the forms circulated to the proper people or filled appropriately? If not, why not? So we should also ask this question. And also if there is any paper form that is offered as an alternative to the website based form, and compare the completion rates of both. So we compare the manual with the website, and we see the completion form, and we that will bring us maybe if the people prefer the manual, then we see why. Maybe the website based form is difficult to use, or there is some other restriction in terms of computer friendly users and so on. And then, are unofficial forms used on a regular basis, or it's just like an incident? Okay, so this is all that we system analysts should take in consideration as questions to ask about the forms used in the organization. So the questions I already explained on the figure or in the slide. In the other hand is the qualitative documents, which include emails, message, memo, minutes of meeting of the board of directors, and in the work areas, web pages, procedures, manuals, and policies, handbooks, and so on. So let's have this kind of qualitative documents, and which you can find the key or the guideline images of the company. Also, you can get the mentality of insiders and vase outsiders. You can find that as a system analyst. Also, what is the organization culture to consider good and bad or evil. Graphs, Lego, and icons in common area or web page. That this also can be useful in the quantitative data. Also, a sense of humor if you can predict and get from the documents of the company or event. Part of analyzing qualitative documents is the email messages, looking into the language, business language that's used in the emails, looking into the some process selective errors in emails and so on, and also the memos for any um, agreement between the suppliers or customers and so on, and signs or posters on the boards if there is a wall boards. So that is also can bring some indications. As also the corporate website, note the interactivity of the website. Is it dynamic or it is static? So we examine the content of the metaphors, the humor, the use of design features, the colors and the meaning and clarity of any messages provided in the website. And then after that, we look into to the manuals and policy hand makers. For the manuals, present the idea, uh, the way machines and people are executed to behave, or expected to behave, sorry, and also the policy um, handbook. So it allows the systems analyst to again gain and get an awareness of the value, attitude, and beliefs guiding the organization. The system analyst should give attention to the memo in analyzing the memos and so on, because memos reveal a lively and continuing dialogue in the organization. So you can see that the feeling in this example of in this figure, that the manager of the night call desk staff is sending and welcoming two new staff joining the team, and he's saying that they will enjoy the work here and being together. They are happy, big family, and so on. So that kind of things is informal. It's lively dialogue between the organization. You cannot find it in a formal form or the report that like a performance report and so on. Okay. Now we need to shed the light into the techniques of analyzing the text or content analysis. So there are softwares that can analyze unstructured qualitative data from any source. So what is that source, for example, or what is that software that can help in analyzing the unstructured or qualitative data, or we can call it soft data, like the Atlas, and also we have in vivo. We have also now Python. We can use Python in analyzing such tax analytics. So what is the source of this soft data or qualitative data, or we also unstructured data, either to be the transcript of the interview, writing report, customer communication through the collection, through the email, wikis, blogs, chat rooms, and other social media and networking sites. So just to summarize, just to make it easy, what we mentioned just now. So the text analytics through the for the unstructured qualitative or soft data are generated through the blogs, chat rooms, questionnaire using open-ended questions. We can call it also the interview manuscripts. Also, the online discussion conducted on the web, the exchange occurrence from the social media. So, the tax analytics can help in identifying what is the customer are thinking about the organization. So, what is the perception of the customers about the organization? Understanding also the value and the action of the company. Uh, Also, we can understand from doing tax analytics, understanding the customer or the vendor's motivations for beginning, maintaining, improving, or even the discontinuing relations with the organization. Okay, here we have software or the output of software of analyzing text or content, and we can see here in the right left right side. Here we have the themes that we coded for the software, and we insert the or import the tax, and it will provide us with a certain percentage of the relationship between those themes, and also it will give how much emphasis or the prominence of this kind of concept. So you can see here the close relation or the line between each one is it represent the relationship between the two concept or the other concept, and the distance also it give meaning that it is quite not related, but it's related, and so on. And the balls or the circle, it bring that those can be one category or one group. Okay, so also we can get certain details. For example, here for the community and license, so we can see got the frequency percentage and the strength percentage, and also and each for each concept it relate, let's say, the development with the community. So it is only 2% here, and the prominence is only 4.1, which is the highest for the community category. Whereby for license category, where the project is the highest, and so this kind of analysis of tax, it bring us some insight. It bring good insight and depth information that we can use to develop a new system accordingly. So the tax analytics provide insight for an organization's members who want to have rapid and visual. They want to have numbers and figures, percentage, and so on, but also they also would like to have qualitative approach to analyze the tax of the data. Okay, so an important element is to design the human activities surrounding the use of tax analytics software. Why? Because the software will not give us the feeling of the people. It will just represent or try to visualize some indicators of the tax that being analyzed. Observation is another method to collect or gather information from the qualitative data source or soft data. So the observation provides an insight on what organizational members actually do, and also it helped to see the first hand of the relationship between the decision makers and the other organizational members. And observations is allows actually it allows the analyst to see the how the managers gather and process, share, and use the information and technology to get the work done. So we can see that by observing the decision makers, and decision makers' physical environment and their interaction with their physical ergonomic environment, that the observation is very important tool and method under the unobstructive methods. Okay, so uh, the observation can also reveal an important clues and indicators regarding the human-computer interaction concerns. The analyst play scripts involves observing the decision maker's behavior and recording their actions using a series of acting verbs. For example, talking, sampling, corresponding, and deciding. Okay, this figure is giving a sample page from the analyst play script. So for example, we have here we have in the decision makers actor, so quality assurance manager, and we have, let's say, we list down information related to the activities here. So it is the script here, so ask shop floor supervisor for the day production report, and also for another manager. So also we can have like kind of manuscript or script to like dialogue between the shop floor supervisor and quality assurance manager, discussing and reacting to each other. It's like a dialogue script. Okay, so that can also very helpful in for the analyst to analyze and find out the decision making makers behavior. Strobe is one of the technique related to the observation methods. So strobe is a short form, come from the first two three letters of structured and the two letters of observation, and the environment, the first letter of environment. So structured observation of the environment. It is a technique for observing the decision maker's physical environment. So observing the physical environment also reveals much about the decision maker's human information requirements. Often it's possible to observe the particulars of the surrounding that will conform or negate the organizational narrative. So it will give also called stories or dialogue, information that is found through the interview or questionnaire. The strobe elements can reveal much about the way of decision makers gather, the process, stores, and share the information, as well as about the decision makers' credibility in the workplace. And those elements, for example, office location, desk placement, stationary equipments, where they locate the manager, is it open hall desks, or it is room divided with partitions. The prop also, the props is we already discussed the props, the follow-up questions and so on. External information source, the office lighting and color, clothing worn by the decision makers. So this figure is giving a summary of seven concurrent observable element of strobe. So let's have a look into each one of it. For office location, the questions is who has the corner office, and are the key decisions makers dispersed over the spread floors, or just within the decision makers. The disk placement and design of layout, it also bring some indicators about the belief and value or the organizational culture of the organization. So if it is open area like what we have in this picture, so it shows that the organization have a way, they are very concerned about the communication within the community. And also you can see here there is no clear difference between all stuff, so it doesn't demonstrate the power of let's say the managers and so on. So but let's say they have closed room for the manager, so even it's, if it is glasses, so it is moderating, demonstrating the power. But if it is unseen, concrete or wall, and not transparent wall, so it is showing the and very demonstrating the power of the manager. Okay, so the two things about the disk placement is the communication matter and the demonstrating the power of the hierarchy of the management. And then stationary office equipment. The first question, that this decision maker prefer to gather and store information personally? Is the storage area large or small? So sometimes manager would like to have like information very systematically documents filed and so on, and that's kind of managers we should consider as one of the indicators how they how the managers expecting the output or the report from the system information. The props is the evidence that the decision makers use the computer or smartphone or tablet computer in the office. So if they are, then we should consider the web or the web forms and also the authorization, e-authorization, and so on. Then external information sources. Does the decision makers get much information from external sources such as trade journals or the websites of the competitors or the trade mart and so on? So whether they rely on much on the external or internal, that is one thing that should be considered for the information system development. Is the lighting set up to do the details work or more appropriate for causal communication? The second question, are the colors warm and inviting to work? So this kind of details of designing and layout may not show or may not be understand how it will relate it to the system, but especially for the new system, developing a new system or improving the current system, you will find this kind of information is very helpful, and the qualitative and soft data is very, very important to work aside with the quantitative side. Lastly is clothing. Does the decision maker show authority by wearing conservative suits, mean they dress smartly? Are the employees required to wear uniforms? So that kind of this kind of uniforms or this kind of information will give you insight that the output should be also representing a very formal or free style of decision making. So this figure is summarizing the Strobe and the decision makers characteristics. So in the left side, we have the characteristics of decision makers. So if they are gathering if they are a type of person to gather information informally, so in terms of the element of the Strobe, it is expected that the office will be the lighting will be warm and also incandescent light and the colors. If the decision maker seeks extra organizations information, so it is they will rely on external information. Trade journals will be presented in the office. If the decision makers processes the data personally, so you will find the PCs or tablet computer presented in office. If the decision maker stores the information personally, then you will find equipment files present in his office or her office. So also if the decision makers exercise power in decision making, then you will see the disk placed in for power, as I explained just now. And then the exhibition credibility in the decision making, then you will see he is or she is wearing authoritative clothes, the suits, and normally we call it dark colors like um, dark brown, blue, black suits, and so on. And last one is sharing information with others. So we expect the layout design of the office to be easy, accessible, and open area. Now let's have a look into the applying process of Strobe. One way to implement Strobe is through the use of subjective or deductive checklist with the meaningful shorthand symbols. There are 5 symbols used to evaluate how observation of the elements of Strobe compared with the interview result. Uh, the symbols that use first the check mark. It means narrative is confirmed, and then the second one is the cross or the X. It means that the narrative is reversed or negate or disagreed. And then an oval or the eye-shaped symbol serves as cue of to have a look further or to have more details. And the square means observation modifies the narrative, and then the circle means narrative is supplemented by observation. So here we have an example of an anecdotal listed with the symbols. So you can see here the narrative, and here we have the location or the criteria or the element of Strobe. So here we have the office location and equipment. We have here the second one is the lighting and color and graphics of the office, and we have here the clothes. So, for example, we take the first one is in information is readily followed in all levels. So X means it is not accepted or by the observation is negate or reverse this narrative. For the second one, for example, or maybe we take the Adam says our company doesn't change much. So the check mark means it is the agreement or the confirm of this statement, and then the oval shape like this it means that the queue to look further for further information. And the square, the last one is the square is looking for the modified the narrative according to the observation. Okay. In summary, we discussed in this video the sampling in terms of designing of a good sample, and also the type of samples techniques. We discussed the convenience and the systematic systematic sampling methods and so on. And also we discussed the sample size and how we determine it and so on. Then we discuss also the data types, and we discuss the quantitative documents analysis and the qualitative document analysis. We also have discussion on observation, tax analytics, Strobe methods as one of the observation methods, and we discussed the Strobe elements and also how to apply the Strobes. In conclusion, what we have discussed for the first and second video in under the gathering of the information, it is kind of technical information, technical skills and knowledge, how to gather information from the real business company, either to be through the interactive interview and interactive method, like you have asked them, interview some people, or conduct questionnaire, or JAD approach, like join application approach, or through also through the an obstructive methods, which is by looking into the website, looking into the some indirectly less disruptive to the organization. For example, if we give example of types of two types of methods, or two types of data that we are looking, either soft or hard data. Soft data, the data that it's in unstructured narrative way, either from the website, from the handbook, and so on. Uh, and we discuss also how to analyze it, and so on. We also discuss the observation methods to observe some information, to observe some indicators, to bring some indicators from the layout of the office, the lighting, the design, and so on. I hope this information will benefit all of you, the student. It's not just information that is related to this subject. I believe this information is very, very important and helpful for your future career, inshallah. And thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.